That golden squeeze bear sitting in your pantry right now? There is a 76% chance it is not actually honey. While you are drizzling what you think is nature's perfect sweetener into your morning tea, you might actually be consuming a concoction of Chinese corn syrup, rice syrup, and chemicals so nasty they have been banned in Europe. The FDA says if honey does not contain pollen, it is not honey. Period, yet they are not testing a single jar. So which brands are lying to your face and which ones actually deliver the real deal? Let's crack this sticky mess wide open. Americans consume over 500 million pounds of honey every year. That's roughly 1.6 pounds per person. But here's the kicker. The U.S. only produces about 27% of what we consume. The rest gets imported, and that is where the nightmare begins. In 2023, the European Commission tested commercial honey and found that 46% of samples were likely diluted with cheap plant syrups. Almost half. And that is in Europe, where they actually bothered to test things. Kroger Pure Clover honey sits in coolers across America like it belongs there. Those familiar red and blue labels practically scream reliability. Your grandmother probably bought Kroger honey. So why is it on this list? Because when Food Safety News sent it to a lab, every single sample came back stripped of all pollen. Here is why that matters, folks. Without pollen, there is literally no way to trace where your honey came from. It could be from legitimate American beekeepers. It could be laundered Chinese honey pumped full of antibiotics that will make your immune system file a formal complaint. The Food and Drug Administration says no pollen means no honey. Kroger's response when asked about their honey sources was that information is proprietary. They will not tell you where it comes from because they do not want you to know. That is not secrecy. That is a red flag wrapped in a squeeze bottle. And Kroger isn't alone in this game of honey hide and seek. Safeway Clover. Honey plays the exact same card. Walk into any Safeway from coast to coast, and you will find their house brand honey stacked neatly next to the peanut butter. It looks legitimate. It costs less than the fancy stuff. Seems like smart shopping, right? Wrong. The same Food Safety News investigation produced the same result. Zero pollen detected. When researchers reached out to Safeway representatives asking about honey sources, they got the same corporate shuffle. The response was the single phrase, proprietary information. That word keeps popping up like a bad rash whenever someone asks these companies an honest question about what is actually in their bottles. The European Commission has ruled that without pollen, there is no way to determine if honey came from legitimate and safe sources. So when Safeway strips out all the pollen and refuses to tell you where the honey originated, they are essentially asking you to trust them while blindfolding you. You know what I trust, transparency, and Safeway's honey has none of it. But at least Safeway and Kroger are grocery chains, not honey specialists. Surely the brands that focus exclusively on honey do better, right? Well, let me introduce you to Sue Bee Clover Honey, America's oldest and largest honey packer. They have been around since 1921. Over a century of honey experience. You would think they would have this figured out by now. The Sioux Honey Association, which makes Sue Bee, declined repeated requests to comment on whether their foreign honey is ultra-filtered when they buy it. They went silent. What did not stay silent was a California federal court. It certified a class action lawsuit against Sue Bee brought by consumers who allege the company falsely labeled their honey as 100% pure. The plaintiffs allege the honey was tainted with glyphosate, the synthetic herbicide that has been classified as a probable carcinogen by the World Health Organization. Sue Bee markets under a bunch of different names too: Clover Made, Aunt Sue, Natural Pure, and dozens of store brands. So you might be buying Sue Bee honey without even knowing it. One customer service representative let slip that the contact address on some of the honey matched Sioux City, Iowa, Sue Bee's corporate headquarters. It makes you wonder how much store-brand honey is actually coming from the same questionable sources. Speaking of store brands that will make you question everything, Giant Eagle Clover Honey deserves a spot on this list. They sell honey under their Value Time label, and just like Kroger and Safeway, when researchers came knocking with questions about where their honey actually comes from, Giant Eagle went dark. The honey tested positive for complete pollen removal. No surprise there. What is frustrating is the pattern. These major grocery chains have the resources to source quality honey. They have the buying power to demand transparency from suppliers. Instead, they choose secrecy every single time. When you ask why, they hide behind that magic word, proprietary. Now here's where it gets really interesting. You'd think drugstores would be different. CVS and Walgreens sell everything from prescriptions to vitamins. Health is literally their business model. So surely CVS, Honey, and Walgreens Mellow Honey maintain higher standards. The lab results came back unanimous. 100% of honey sampled from drugstores like Walgreens, Rite Aid, and CVS Pharmacy had absolutely no pollen. Not some of it, not most of it, all of it. Every single sample from drugstore honey came back completely stripped of the one thing that proves honey is actually honey. Think about that for a second. You are walking into a pharmacy, a place associated with health and wellness, and buying a product that may have been chemically manipulated to hide its origins. The irony is thick enough to spread on toast. These places will lecture you about reading medication labels while selling you mystery syrup in a bear-shaped bottle. The big box stores do not fare much better. Great value. Clover Honey is Walmart's house brand, and it is everywhere. Those yellow labels dominate the honey aisle at America's largest retailer. You have probably grabbed one because it was cheap and convenient. But here is the catch. 77% of honey sampled from big box stores like Costco, Sam's Club, Walmart, Target, and H-E-B had the pollen filtered out. I have to be fair. One Vice investigation actually found that a bottle of great value Clover Honey from Walmart passed lab tests with full marks. NMR testing confirmed the origins matched the label, and there was no evidence of added sugar or excessive heating. So Walmart's honey is complicated. Some of it might be fine, some of it might not be. That inconsistency alone should make you nervous. When Walmart customer service was asked about their honey sources, they gave the same answer as everyone else. That information is proprietary. They are all reading from the same playbook. Here is one that will really sting: Busy Bee Honey. Golden Heritage Foods, which packs Busy Bee, markets 55 million pounds of honey annually. That is a massive operation. Their quality director publicly stated they take every precaution not to buy laundered Chinese honey. Sounds reassuring, right? But when Vice sent Busy Bee Honey to 2 different labs, the results were troubling. One test showed the honey had erratic results, indicating it came from 5 to 6 different countries, nowhere near each other geographically. The lab technician suspected the honey might have been processed through resin technology, a method specifically designed to confuse testing and mask adulteration. The Busy Bee Honey results remain confusing to this day. Neither lab could definitively confirm or deny what was actually in the bottle. When your honey confuses professional labs, something is seriously wrong. And Busy Bee's parent company did not respond to requests for comment about the test results. That is shocking. Now, let's talk about Target's Market Pantry Honey. The company has built a reputation as the nicer big box store, with better aesthetics and trendier products. Surely their house brand honey reflects those higher standards. The pollen tests say otherwise. Market Pantry Honey came back stripped clean. No pollen, no source. When Food Safety News contacted Jessica Carlson, Target's public relations representative, She waved the proprietary banner and refused to say whether it was Target management or honey suppliers that wanted the source kept from consumers. So not only will they not tell you where the honey comes from, they will not even tell you who is making that decision. Target also sells honey under other labels like Naturally Preferred and Archer Farms. Same company, different packaging, same questions about authenticity. The Archer Farms Orange Blossom Honey and Archer Farms Organic Classic Honey. Both appeared on lists of honey tested with no pollen. When the organic option fails pollen tests, you know the system is broken. Winnie the Pooh honey might be the most heartbreaking entry on this list. We grew up watching that silly old bear obsess over his honey pot. Parents buy this for their kids thinking they are getting something wholesome and nostalgic. Instead, Honey Tree Inc., which sells the Winnie the Pooh honey in Walmart stores, admitted the product is filtered to remove pollen because North American shoppers want their honey crystal clear. Bob Olney from Honey Tree explained that the honey came from suppliers in Montana, North Dakota, and Alberta. Legitimate sources, supposedly, but here's the problem. Once you remove all the pollen, there is no way to verify that claim. You are trusting their word. And in an industry where Chinese honey gets laundered through India, Vietnam, and Malaysia before landing on American shelves with fake paperwork, trust without verification is just wishful thinking. The cute bear on the bottle does not guarantee anything except effective marketing. Let's talk about those single-serve honey packets real quick. The ones from Smucker's, McDonald's, and KFC, 100% of them tested positive for complete pollen removal. Every single one. When you rip open that little packet labeled honey sauce at KFC, you are getting something the FDA would not classify as honey. The ingredients list often includes high fructose corn syrup right alongside whatever honey might actually be in there. These packets are designed for convenience, not quality. The companies know you are not going to lab test your fast food condiments. They are counting on your trust and your laziness. And honestly, most of us never gave it a second thought until right now. Wegmans Clover Honey rounds out our list of brands to avoid. Wegmans has a loyal following in the Northeast. People drive out of their way to shop there. The store brand honey uses the Wegmans name on the label, which seems like accountability. But the pollen tests told a different story. When researchers asked who actually bottles Wegmans honey, the company would not say. Unlike Golden Heritage of Kansas, which puts its name or decipherable initials on the back of store brands it fills, Wegmans keeps that information hidden. Their quality director said they are never bashful about discussing the products we put out. Apparently, Wegmans did not get that memo, so you are probably feeling pretty defeated right now. Is any grocery store honey actually legitimate? Yes, and some of the good options might surprise you. Trader Joe's honey consistently performs well in authenticity tests. When Food Safety News analyzed honey from farmers markets, co-ops, and natural stores, Trader Joe's was specifically named as a store where every sample tested contained the full anticipated amount of pollen. Every single one. Now, Trader Joe's is not perfect. They faced a lawsuit in 2018 over their Manuka honey labeling, with plaintiffs claiming it was only 57 to 62% Manuka pollen rather than 100% pure stated on the label. The Ninth Circuit ultimately ruled in Trader Joe's favor, noting that FDA rules permit honey to be labeled with a plant name if it is the chief floral source. But here is what matters. Trader Joe's organic raw honey from Brazil maintains solid consistency, has not been ultra-filtered, and retains its natural pollen. Their multifloral and clover honey, while not labeled organic because U.S. producers cannot legally use that term for domestic honey, still passed pollen tests. At around 27 cents per ounce, it is one of the most affordable, legitimate honeys you can find at a major retailer. The key is sticking with their raw and organic options rather than the most processed varieties. Kirkland's Signature Raw Unfiltered Honey from Costco is another surprisingly good option. Yes, I know I said earlier that 77% of big box honey had pollen removed. Costco's Kirkland Signature has specifically invested in authentication. Every bottle of Kirkland Raw honey carries the True Source certified seal. This third-party program traces honey from hive to bottle, verifying it has not been adulterated along the supply chain. The 100% U.S. raw unfiltered version sources from American beekeepers and maintains the natural enzymes, pollen, and nutrients that commercial processing removes. At around $9.59 for a 3-pound bottle, the price per ounce crushes most competitors. A similar product at regular grocery stores runs $4.59 for 12 ounces. The Costco version works out to about 21 cents per ounce versus 38 cents elsewhere. That's nearly half the price for verified, authentic honey. Now, some honey enthusiasts argue that Kirkland honey is still too processed to be truly raw, and that the local marketing for their regional varieties is misleading since it is blended from multiple sources. These are fair criticisms, but compared to the mystery syrup from Sue Bee and Kroger, Costco's honey offers significantly more transparency and verification. Finally, Nature-Nate's 100% pure raw and unfiltered honey deserves recognition despite its complicated history. This Texas-based company faced a class action lawsuit alleging their honey was heated to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, which would compromise the raw designation and might contain added syrups. Here is what matters. The case was ultimately dismissed because plaintiffs could not prove Nature-Nate's actually added syrups themselves. Independent testing by Momavation sent Nature-Nate's organic version to an EPA-certified lab. The lab found no detectable glyphosate and it passed tests for 500-plus pesticides. The company maintains a purity guarantee with third-party testing, and their facilities hold Global Food Safety Initiative certifications. Nature-Nate's is widely available at Kroger, Walmart, Target, and Amazon. You can find it without hunting down specialty stores. At around $8 to $10 for a 16-ounce bottle, it is pricier than generic store brands but cheaper than most artisanal options. The squeeze bottle design makes it convenient, and multiple taste tests rank it among the best mainstream honey for flavor complexity. So what should you actually do with all this information? First, look for honey labeled raw and unfiltered. These terms indicate minimal processing. Second, check for third-party certifications like True Source Certified. Third, pay attention to country of origin. Honey from the USA, Canada, Argentina, and New Zealand generally has better oversight than products from Vietnam, India, or unnamed blend sources. Real honey naturally crystallizes over time. If your honey has been sitting in the pantry for years and still looks perfectly clear and syrupy, that is suspicious. Crystallization is actually a sign of authenticity, not spoilage. You can reliquefy crystallized honey by placing the jar in warm water. The best option? Buy from local beekeepers at farmers markets whenever possible. Those samples consistently pass pollen tests because the beekeeper has no reason to adulterate their product. They are proud of their honey. They want you to taste the difference. And you will. Americans spend roughly $500 million annually on honey. That's $500 million flowing toward an industry where nearly half the product might be fraudulent. FDA says ultra-filtered honey isn't honey. The World Health Organization agrees. Europe banned suspect imports. Yet American grocery stores keep stocking the same mystery syrups while hiding behind that magic word, proprietary. You deserve to know what you're eating. Your money should support legitimate beekeepers, not international honey laundering operations. Next time you are in that grocery aisle, skip the cute bear bottles and the store brands hiding behind corporate secrecy. Grab the Trader Joe's Raw Organic, the Kirkland True Source Certified, or the Nature-Nate's with their purity guarantee. Or better yet, find your local beekeeper. Shake their hand, ask them where their hives are located. Watch their face light up when they talk about their bees. That's real honey. That's worth your money. That's the sweet stuff your grandmother actually remembers. Because life's too short for fake honey, folks.